By mutual agreement, Mayor Norm Richardson is going to go first, and then Tanya will be going second. And at the closing, the order will be reversed. So Tanya will go first and Mayor will go last.
Well, I guess it's all right. No, I got it. Yep, fine. Thank you, Harish. I'm going to thank everybody for being here tonight on this cold and rainy night with everything else that's going on, World Series and whatever. It's important that you're here. I'm going to start off with a little bit of history. In 2012, when I ran for office, I made a promise, and that was to make sure that the city's fiscal health was in order, and that was a priority. And I'm proud to say that that's now in place. The city is finally caught up. We were 3 years behind in audits, and we are now caught up with our audits. And those audits do not have any findings that are detrimental to the city. They're all clear audits, so our fiscal health is, our picture for our fiscal health is clear. And recently, in June, we did our budget for 16-17 and 17-18. This will be the last time we do a 2-year budget because it's awkward to do a 2-year budget. It's very difficult to project your revenues with a 2-year budget and your expenditures. So we're going to go back to a 1-year budget, but this year we did a 2-year budget. So starting with 16-17 budget, our proposal for the budget had $5,702,300 in general fund revenue and $5,770,000 in general fund expenditures, for a total operating deficit of $74,700. Now, in order to balance that budget, the City Council had to go in and cut $122,000 from the 16-17 general fund budget. And we will have, at the end of 16-17, a small surplus of $12,600 in the general fund. That is better than a deficit of $74,700, even though it doesn't seem like the math adds, which I just noticed, but it does. Our finance director told us that this is what we were going to have. So I'm proud of the fact that we're balanced the budget and we're not doing a deficit, and there is no such thing as a structural deficit. We are keeping everything so that we are in order with a zero balance at the end or a small surplus. We actually have, I wrote it down too, we're going to end up, we had a $300,000 starting reserve fund. 600,000, I beg your pardon. But we really should have $1 million. So that's what we're shooting for, is $1 million in reserve. Our city of our size should have that. After I was elected as mayor, I found out that I would be representing Rio Vista on the Solano Transportation Authority Board of Directors. And I am currently on that board and is the chair of the Solano Transportation Authority. With my first year on the Solano Transportation Authority, they were doing grants because Solano Transportation Authority puts out grants in Solano County to various governmental agencies, to the 7 cities actually. And it's through the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They handle the grants. So one of the grants that had been requested by the city of Rio Vista was $450,000 to complete phase 2 of the waterfront promenade. And I'm glad to say that I got that grant that year in 2013. And that was just completed last year. Also, the same year, we got a $100,000 grant to complete the Highway 12 crosswalk at Gardner Way, which, as you notice, is just the yellow blinking lights in the pavement. And it's safe routes to school. That is one of the major school crossings in Rio Vista from White School. Students cross from one side of the city to the other side of the city. And we have begun work, finally. It was a long time between our city staff and Caltrans bickering back and forth and how this work was to be done and how it was to look. So the work just started, and I hope that it'll be completed at least by the end of November, halfway through the school year. Also, being on the Solano Transportation Authority, I have gotten that to be an ally, and Assemblyman Frazier as an ally, on working with Caltrans to widen Highway 12 from Somerset Drive into the city. Now that started out as a $15 million project, and last February I learned it is ballooned to a $75 million project. Government. It's called the Highway 12 Gap Closure. As you know, Highway 12 was widened in some years past from Suisun City to Somerset Drive in stages. This is the last part that remains, and in order to make Highway 12 safe, it has to be done. What it will do, it's going to widen the travel lanes, the 2 travel lanes, to 12 feet from their current width, and will add 8-foot shoulders on each side of the highway, making it much, much safer with a place to pull off if you have a rear ender or you're stalled. And I can't wait for it to be done. But as part of it, which is costing part of the $75 million, now this is from Somerset into the city of Rio Vista. So from the top of the hill in the city of Rio Vista to the bridge, the Caltrans is proposing to add sidewalks on both sides of Highway 12 and put a raised median in the middle where the suicide lane is, and put left turn pockets so that you can get to the businesses. Instead of pulling into that middle lane and finding a way to turn left and having people that are frustrated with traffic being backed up, getting in that median lane. They want to go to McDonald's, so they get in the median lane while traffic is backed up in front of Lyra's and scoot on toward McDonald's while somebody is getting in the median lane to turn left at the Shell station. And you might have a head-on collision. We haven't had any yet, thank God. But that is one of the problems, and that's why it's called a suicide lane. So currently, the widening of Highway 12, we did manage to get Caltrans to pick it up, and it's currently in SHOP, what they call SHOP, which stands for the State Highway Operation and Protection Program. And it is in the project study phase right now in Caltrans, and work may begin in another 5 years. I would like to see it go faster, and I would ask Assemblyman Frazier to help with that. Assemblyman Frazier is the chair of the Assembly's Transportation Committee and has a lot of clout, and he has been very helpful to Rio Vista, and I'm sure will work with us to get that moved along faster. Church Road and Highway 12 intersection is not part of that project. Caltrans has not envisioned doing anything with Church Road and Highway 12, although they have looked at accident reports at Church and 12, but that was just in relationship to widening the highway. We have only had one very bad accident, and that was in April of 2014, I believe, and that was a motorcycle that was rear-ended by somebody, and unfortunately the motorcyclist was killed at the scene. So 2 years ago, before that happened, the city invested $600,000 into design into a design and environmental impact report on this very intersection. And after some meetings at SDA, we hired SDA to be our project manager, and SDA has had meetings and staff has had meetings with the surrounding property owners that have property on either side of Church Road and 12, because part of those properties is going to be bought or taken by Caltrans in order to do this. And the surrounding property, they've been meeting with the surrounding property owners, and they've worked on the design, and they're doing the draft environmental impact report, and it's scheduled to be presented by STA in December of this year at the City Council chambers. Now that design will include, okay, I have 10 minutes. Thank you. That design will include left turn lanes and right turn lanes on and off Highway 12. And the estimated cost of that particular intersection is $4 million. That's on top of the 75 million. Right. That's $4 million if they never did the widening. So that's $4 million for that. Some will come from a regional traffic impact fee in Solano County that is paid into via various building permits in this part of Solano County. And the rest will come from the city and Caltrans. And I'm hoping that we're able to do it. In fact, we have to do it. It is vital. We're growing. There's going to be CNO going to be building on the other side of Church Road. As you know, Trilogy is being finished up. So the traffic impact on Church is very high. There's a lot more traffic coming out onto 12. We need to have that intersection done, or we're in trouble. Besides working with Solano Transportation Authority on transit and transportation, which also, by the way, transit includes the Delta Breeze, that we're having Solano Transportation Authority is managing the Delta Breeze for us right now. We get our funding, our major funding for the Delta Breeze comes from the Transportation Development Act funds, which is federal, and we only have to do about 10% fare box recovery to continue to receive those funds, and we're there. I believe we're almost there. So, currently, I'm also on the board of the Solano County Water Agency. And currently, the Solano County Water Agency is helping Rio Vista apply for a state grant for small communities, and it's a $500,000 grant for a flood control study. This was a brainchild of Senator Wolk. She put it into legislation, and the governor signed it, and there's only 2 communities that really can qualify. That's Rio Vista and Knights Landing. So after that study is completed, we plan to apply to the state of California to help build a flood control barrier along our waterfront, which will be approximately $30 million. As you can see, we're never going to make it unless we do a lot of bake sales. It's just not going to happen. And it's necessary for any building to be done on the Rio Vista waterfront, hotel, offices, housing, whatever. That particular part of Rio Vista is a floodplain, and it has a history of flooding. So FEMA requires a 200-year flood protection in order to build, unless you build high. You've seen places out in the Delta where the houses look like they start at the 2nd story. So beyond that, we have 2014, the legislature passed groundwater legislation. And how does that affect Rio Vista? Groundwater legislation is any well water, and we are entirely dependent upon well water. So groundwater legislation requires that there's going to be a groundwater sustainability agency, and that's what's being worked on right now between staff and myself. It also is going to require that we do a lot of reporting to this particular agency, who will determine whether we are overdrafting our aquifers. And that's what we have to be careful of. We have been reporting to the Department of Water Resources and the Water Agency how much we're pumping, but in this case, we're going to be doing our urban water managing plan to this agency and also having to be careful of what we're pumping. So I hope to represent us on that.
Please
Also,
hold your questions, please.
1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. So I'm going to just finish up by also...
You have 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Gosh, okay. I also represent Rio Vista on the City County Coordinating Council. And all the municipal governments, all the cities, all 7 cities of Solano on that, and the county government. And we work on a variety of things, and one of it recently is homelessness. But there are other issues that come before the City Coordinating Council, and what we do is we decide what we need to bring back to our various councils for discussion and action, and take it back to the Coordinating Council. So, one quick final thing. On the last campaign, I made a promise, can you believe it? To implement e-billing and payments for water and sewer bills. Finally, it's on its way. After a lot of fits and starts and backward going things, we have Veolia, who has been hired to install new water meters, which will be radio read, enable us to have the accounts billed electronically, and you'll be able to access your accounts and pay them similar to you do your PG&E online, or we'll be able to accept credit cards, so you'll be able to travel and go away and not worry about missing your water, sewer bill and getting fined for that. How am I doing? All right, 3 minutes. All right, I'm going to leave transparency till the end. But potholes. At the next city council meeting, the staff is putting before the council a schedule of fixing the streets and installing new water and sewer lines, which is one way we have of fixing the potholes. We put in a water and sewer line. We also pave over the street at that particular case. But there are streets that we're not going to be putting water and sewer lines in, so separately from that, we're going to have a paving schedule. And that's coming up before the next council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have more, but...
Oh, you have time? Thank you, Mayor. The next candidate, who's the write-in candidate, is Tanya Hannibal. There you go. You have 20 minutes.
All right, I don't know if I have 20 minutes worth of stuff. I'm totally new at this. A lot of people don't know who I am, but I've been here in this city for 25 years. A friend of mine invited me here. I was a single mom with 3 kids at the time, and I thought, okay, why not? So I came down to Rio Vista and instantly fell in love. I said to myself, this is a town that I could raise my kids in and feel safe about it. I love the small town atmosphere and the beautiful Delta views. So I stayed, and eventually I met my husband here. We've been together for about 18 years. As a parent, of course, I volunteered in helping in sport events and school activities, got a little bit involved in the community, not a whole lot. I had parenting things to do. One of my favorite things that I did was making Christmas baskets back when they used to do that and hand them out in the community. I loved doing that and helping people. I currently have a real estate license, and I am a property manager at this time. I work within the Century 21 office on Front Street. I've been doing real estate for about 17 years. I've been able to watch our city grow and go through many changes. I love my job, love helping people. And like I said, the company I work for is within the Century 21, but it is actually called Distinctive Real Estate Services. I'm a member of the California Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, and through my broker, the California Apartment Association. As a parent and a citizen, just like all of you, I too have had many concerns with our city's dealings over the years. I've had some of the same concerns about the water, youth activities, city funds, safety of our children and citizens. And this is one of the reasons why I chose to run as mayor. I want to give back to our city. I want to, this city was there for me, and I want to be giving it all back to them. I've learned a lot watching, and some of the goals, well, one of the reasons why I'm running is because people came to me and they said, you know, we're way dissatisfied with the way things are here. We want change. They say that things are moving too slowly, that the ball's been dropped several times on things. And I've seen some things over the period of time, and I believe that that's true. Some of my goals as mayors is definitely that we need to bring more business into our city. We need to generate more income for sure. I would like to meet with the business owners downtown and find out exactly what they need, what they feel that we can do to change to bring in more business. We need to look at what we have available to offer, maybe city leases, some incentives to bring business here. We need to possibly work with developers and maybe do a development business park. We also need to advertise our city to attract people. We are a waterfront, riverfront city, and we need to, that's an asset, a definite asset for this place, and we need to put that out there. We need not to be wasteful when it comes to our city budget. I've seen a few things that's made me cringe, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We need to take the time to research better options when it comes to spending money on any project. Maybe have a few study sessions and decide what the best alternative would be. We need to conserve and prioritize on what we spend our money on. I also believe in complete transparency. 100% behind that. Our citizens always need to know what we are doing and what things are costing. I also promise to be open to hear whatever citizen comes to the council meetings and hear their ideas. It's important to get input. That's how we know how to proceed on some of these things. One of the things that's really bothered me over the last 5 years is the fact that we do not have a medical facility or an urgent care. When when I moved here, we had Dr. Paredes, and then we got the Sutter place over there, and my kids used to go there all the time. I used to rely on that, and I know other people here as parents that they relied on that as well. When that went away, it made a lot of people nervous. I even got to see it as a property manager where people came into this town and would ask me a bunch of questions about the area, and as soon as they found out there was no medical facility, I lost them. They moved somewhere else. So we need a medical facility or urgent care because our children and seniors need to have someplace close. A lot can happen in 30 minutes either way, even though we have great first responders. A lot can happen, and I would feel a lot more better about having something here. I do understand that Kaiser has offered a medical van in Sutter, and they'll be able to do blood draws and blood pressure checks and immunizations, but the reality is that that's just not enough, and we definitely have to have a facility, or at least a family doctor of some sort. We need to take a look at traffic safety. More people are coming through our town, figure a way for pedestrians to cross our highway safer. I am so happy about that stoplight crossing thing that went through just not long ago. And the reason why I'm saying that is because about a year ago, I was in that middle lane to turn, and I had to scream out my window to tell some child to stop walking across the street, because when I was looking in my rearview mirror, there was a truck barreling up, and he wasn't going to stop. And in fact, he did not stop. The kid stood in front of my car, and I about had a heart attack. So I hope to God that that works. I hope that we can actually do more and do the sidewalks and I mean, that is something I would definitely push more on for our safety of our children. Let's see. We need more youth activities. Our kids are our future. We need to be able to have a positive outlet for them to grow, stay out of trouble because of boredom. I raised my boys here and they were bored. Thank God for sports. That kept them going. But as they got older, there was nothing else for them to do. All three of my boys are now grown and gone. And they have great jobs out of town. They graduated here from Rio Vista High School. I'm very proud of them. They're doing awesome. But I wish that they could stay close. I wish there was more job opportunities here for them. I would like to see some place where there's more things for family activities. I wish that we had a movie theater or bowling alley or even an arcade. I would like to bring stuff like that into town for our children. We need to deal with some issues with our water wells still, and I am really wanting to push the update for billing for the water department. That is really, really, really important. Again, I've had so many people say that we still live in Mayberry here because we can't pay our bill online. So that is one thing I would definitely push. We need to work with Rio Vision a little bit more on the beautification of our city and the chamber for some community events to generate income and attract people to our city. The more people we get here, the more money they spend, and that's good for us. I was looking at around some of the surrounding cities, what they do. I mean, Lodi has some amazing events that we could probably play off of and bring that here to Rio Vista. And that is something I would definitely want to research and possibly do. I'm glad that we are fixing our sewers and our streets. It's about time, and I'm sure a few of you guys that are in town here can relate and say, yay! It's been a pain in the butt with all the brown water and everything, but it's long overdue and needs to be done. It needs to continue and also needs to be maintained like it should have been instead of let go. We need to address the floor issue at the temporary police station. I hear it's falling apart. We definitely need to do that. They take care of us, we need to take care of them. And also the separate room for the female firefighters. That's a great idea, and with today's world, I mean, we do have women in that field, so they do need to have their own section to be comfortable in. One of the big things that I've noticed that the ball's been dropped on is our city dock. Again, we are a waterfront city. Our dock is important. We have to have that. I understand that we got a grant for it. Things have not been done like they were supposed to have been done. The ball's been dropped a couple of times. A date was passed, something was supposed to be done in July. That date came and went. And from what I understand, from what I've been reading, the project expires on June 30th, 2017. And if we are not moving forward with it and have approved extension request from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we lose all that money. That's $225,000. So we definitely need to do something. We need to move forward, we need to move fast, and we need to get it taken care of. These are just some of the issues. There's a lot. And what I'm doing is offering you fresh eyes on some of these old situations, this old problems that we have. Being a property manager, I've learned that, for an example, when you have a tenant move out and you have a deposit and you have to fix things, you have to budget that money. It's not your money. Just kind of similar like the city. It's not your money, and you got to do the best you can to budget it, fix things, and then return what's left over if there's anything. Or not, you have to take and itemize what you spent that money on, and you need to, come forward and present it to the people in case anybody else has to come out of pocket. So I have some experience in that kind of stuff, and I feel that it's a good asset to be a mayor to have that experience. I found out that when I took this on, I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I can do this. You know, a lot of people told me, yes, you can, without everything else that you've done, you can. And I went down to City Hall, and I went and found out what it takes to be a mayor. And basically, all it takes is that you're over 18, that you live within the jurisdiction, and that you are a registered voter. This is a general law city. The mayor does not run the city. The mayor has some input with the city manager, does agendas, does conveyances, and that kind of stuff. But your city manager is who runs the city. So basically, we just, as a mayor, would represent the city. We are the face of the city. And we do, like I said, conveyances and ordinances and all that kind of stuff. And I think I can handle that. I'm a pretty trustworthy person. Anybody that knows me, I have a work ethic that's like ADD. I get on a project and I finish it. I can't let open ends. I just can't do it. My husband teases me a lot about that, being ADD, but it's the way I am. I don't like unfinished things, and that's some of the stuff that I have caught by when I was looking and thinking about doing this, and I went, you know what, I can do this, and I want to finish, and I want to get these things done for the city. I want our city to shine. It means a lot to me. I chose this place as my home for me, my kids. I'm going to be a grandma here, and there's some concerns that I want fixed. So I'm here. I stepped up, and I'm here to change things. So if you go to November 8th and want to vote, vote for me if you want change. Thanks.
We'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll have a question and answer session. Thank you.